Okay, good morning all. I welcome you all for this today's session. Okay, in previous few sessions, I will just take the review of previous sessions. Uh, okay, we have started this chapter, and in this chapter we have studied the iron and carbide equilibrium diagram, along with its transformation reaction and significance of critical temperature lines. Then we have discussed the classification of the plain carbon steel as low carbon steel, medium carbon steel, and high carbon steels with their composition properties and applications. And then we have completed the effect of alloying elements when they are added into the steel. Okay, and in that we have considered various effects, that is solid solution strengthening or formation of carbide, formation of intermediate compounds or inclusions, then effect on the eutectoid temperature, eutectoid composition, and some common effects like change in the properties like creep strength, fatigue strength, or corrosion resistance and oxidation resistance. We have discussed up to this part. Now, the next part is related to some alloy steels. Okay, some different kinds of alloy steels are there, and in that specifically they have given some important types as per your syllabus. Means number of alloy steels are there, but in your syllabus they have mentioned 14 to 15 types. Okay, and I have tried to cover all the types of the alloy steels. This all will come in the part of alloy steel. Okay, now here what will happen. Now these are alloy steels, and in this the questions will be like this. Means questions will be only related to their composition, then their property and applications. Okay, only these 3 points you have to consider, and one extra point will get added if any kind of steel is having some subtypes. Okay, suppose in case of stainless steel or different kind of tool steels are there, they are having sub classification. Then that sub classification with their composition properties and applications, we are going to discuss that. Okay, now here the important names. The first we will start with the high strength low alloy steels. Okay, and this is mentioned or written in books by a symbol HSLA steels. Okay, this HSLA stands for, okay, here HSLA, this HSLA stands for high strength low alloy steels. Okay, high strength low alloy steels. Now the first point is composition. What is the composition of this high strength low alloy steels? Now, as in the name itself, they have indicated that you can find that the alloying element percentage is little bit less. Okay, low alloying element percentage will be there, but alloying elements are added in this steel. Okay, and its classification will be its composition will be like this. It is a low carbon steel. Okay, low carbon steel which contains the carbon percentage within the range 0.07 to 0.13%. Okay, this is the carbon percentage. And the very important alloying element is manganese. Manganese is added up to 2%. And some other alloying elements will be there, like titanium. This is titanium, chromium, tungsten, molybdenum, vanadium, nickel, silicon, copper, then NB is symbol for niobium, and aluminium. Okay, these alloying elements may be there, but their percentage will be less than 0.5%. Only very small quantity of these alloying elements will be there. Okay, low carbon steel having carbon percentage 0.07% to 0.13%, and the main alloying element here is manganese, which is present up to 2%, and a very small quantity of other alloying elements less than 0.5%. Other alloying elements like chromium, tungsten, molybdenum may be there. Okay, so this is the composition. Now, if you are able to remember the composition easily, now here almost all 15-20 types of steels are there, and only this description will be there. Okay, means we are going to study these aspects only related. First, we will study composition, properties, and applications. Okay, now you may get some trouble, or you may find it difficult how to remember the properties applications. Now a very easy way for this is try to remember the composition from its name only. Okay, name and some applications where it is used. Depending on that, you can write the composition. If 0.1 or 2% here and there while writing the composition, it may be considered. Okay, don't take tension of that. If instead of 0.07 you have written 0.08 or 0.09, it will be considered, but too much difference should not be considered. Okay, 0.1 and 2 here and there, it will be considered correct. Okay, now after writing or remember this composition, depending on this composition only you can decide their properties. Okay, as it is a low carbon steel. Okay, already we have discussed that low carbon steels, they will be having, or their nature will be very soft and malleable. Okay, these will be very soft, malleable and ductile, and due to this nature or this properties, they will be very, means easily you can do the machining operations, welding operations, or different forming operations. Okay, means their machinability, weldability, then formability is very good, because they are have very soft, malleable and ductile in nature. Okay, due to this these properties there. Then here we have added some other alloying elements. Okay, what is the effect of this manganese here? Manganese is added up to 2%. This manganese will improve the machinability. Okay, machinability, as this is a soft ductile material. You will find that while performing the machining of soft and ductile material, continuous chips will be formed. Okay, while performing machining operation, continuous chips will be formed. They will not get breaked easily. If hard material is there, and if you are performing machining operation, chips will get easily breaked or detached from your workpiece. But whenever soft material is there, it is very difficult to separate that chips formed. So continuous chips will be formed. Okay, this is very important part. Whenever uh, this is a little bit conceptual part. Whenever soft material is there and you are performing machining on it, continuous chip formation will be there, and it may damage, it may damage the material. Okay, it may damage the surface finish of the your workpiece, or sometimes it may damage your tool which you are using. Then what is the solution here? Here, that's why we have added here manganese. Due to this manganese, what will happen? Whichever chips are formed, they will get separated very easily. Okay, because it will form the manganese sulfate, and it will help to separate out whichever chips are formed. It will separate it easily. Okay, hence machinability will be improved. Then some other alloying elements are there, like this. Here I have mentioned some elements like titanium, chromium, tungsten, molybdenum. These are, we provide hardness, or this will increase the strength and hardness of that particular steel. Okay, they may form some small quantity, as these are present in very small amount. They will form very small amount of their respective carbides by reacting with the carbon present in that steel. As alloying element quantity is very less and carbon quantity is also very less, small amounts of carbides will be formed, and they will increase their strength also. Now the what is the unique characteristics of this what is the unique characteristics of these steels? These steels have, okay, these steels have very, you can say that they will provide you higher strength, okay, with very less weight. Okay, this is the strength of this these kinds of high strength low alloy steels. Okay, these are some unique characteristics of okay, I think whether am I think my video has gone. Wait. Okay. 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 Okay, I think I have added all students from waiting list, waiting room. Okay. Hmm. Okay, now okay, what we are discussing the properties here. They have very means they are soft malleable ductile in nature, in good weldability, machinability, and formability, along with very good toughness. Then some additional alloying elements will provide the strength and hardness. And other properties is these steels have strength to a very high strength to weight ratio than conventional steels. Means they will provide you better strength within. Oh my. They will provide the higher strength to weight ratio than the conventional steels. Okay, with a minimum weight, they will give you the higher strength. Okay. Then the next is they have low ductile brittle transition temperature. Okay, then what is the meaning of ductile brittle transition temperature? Okay, this is the temperature where is temperature at which the ductile material, in short, you can say that ductile material at that particular temperature becomes brittle in nature. Okay, from ductile, it will get transferred to brittle material. Its property changes from high ductility to brittleness. Okay, and that is termed as ductile brittle transition temperature, and their ductile brittle transition temperature is very low. Means at low temperatures, their ductility will get affected and they will get converted to a brittle material, and they may get failed with very low shock also. Then where are the applications of these steels? Now these steels which are used for manufacturing of the tanks. Okay, if you have seen the oil and gas transmission pipelines, okay, from from the source we are transmitting whichever oil is there, oil or gas are transmitted from one source to the another place, or from one place to the another place, or from source to the consumer through one pipeline. That transmission pipelines or the storage tanks used for storing these oils and gases are made from these HSLA steel only. Okay, oil and gas, their storage tanks and their transmission pipelines are made up of this HSLA steel only. Then this HSLA steel, sometimes it is also known as weathering steel. Okay, weathering steel because it is used for the construction of bridges, and these bridges are made without any coating or paint on it. Okay, some bridges are there, and that bridges are made from the HSLA steels only, and due to their specific applications they are termed as weathering steel. Okay, without any coating or without any layer of the paint, they will provide the required better properties. That's why they are used for bridge constructions. I will show you the diagrams for this. Okay, okay, these are bridges. Okay, these are bridge. These are made, you can see these two pictures here. These bridges are made up of HSLA steel. This bridge, so alloy steel. Okay, this bridge is from Russia. Okay, HSLA steel, Russia, and from some USA. I have collected these pictures. Okay, grade is different. In USA, it is termed as HSLA steel. Then in Russia, they have given some grades. Okay, it is, this is not important part, but just what you have to understand, these bridges are manufactured with the help of this high strength low alloy steel, and these bridges are not having any coating or any paint. Okay, still they will protect this steel from any or any condition may be there, means winter season may be there, or rainy season or summer season may be there, but it will get protected in all seasons. No coating or no painting is required for this HSLA steel. That's why these are also termed as weathering steels, used for construction of bridges. These are high strength low alloy steels. Then here you can see the diagrams. These are cryogenic tanks. Okay, these white tanks you have seen, these are used for storage of super cold fuels. Okay, super cold fuels means liquid hydrogen or liquid oxygen. Okay, they are stored in these tanks. These are cryogenic tanks, and these cryogenic tanks are manufactured with the help of HSLA steel. Okay, these are why I am showing you these pictures. It will be very easy for you to remember the applications. This bridge, HSLA steel bridges are manufactured. Okay, these are also known as micro alloyed steels because alloying element percentage, other alloying element percentage is very less than 0.5%. Manganese is up to 2%, other alloying element less than 0.5% combinedly. That's why it is termed as micro alloyed steels. Okay, HSLA steels, or it is also known as weathering steels, and it is used for manufacturing of these bridges without any painting or coating. Then these cryogenic tanks, these are cryogenic tanks for storing your super cold fuels like liquid hydrogen or liquid oxygen. Then different oil and gas transmission pipelines or storage tanks are there. These are manufactured with the help of this HSLA steel only. Okay, then we will move towards the next type, that is Hadfield steels. Okay, these Hadfield steels are also known as manganese steels, or it is also known as mangalloys. Okay, mangalloys, this MANG stands for manganese. Okay, manganese is dominant or main alloying element here. Okay, base element, base metal or a parent metal will be iron only, as it is a steel. Iron will be only base metal, and carbon is also a alloying element, but other alloying elements are present in more quantity, and here manganese is present in significant amount. Okay, that's why it is termed as a manganese steel or mangalloys. Okay, then now related to its composition, it is a high carbon steel. Okay, high carbon steel. Why I am using this word here, high carbon steel, low carbon steel? So that you can write the composition within that range. Okay, low carbon steel, its range, and for particularly for this steel here, Hadfield steel or manganese steel. It is high carbon steel with 0.8 to 1.25% carbon, 11 to 15% manganese, and some other alloying elements like chromium, nickel, chromium, molybdenum, vanadium, tungsten may present, may be there. Okay, so this is the composition. Now, depending on properties, you can decide or write down their properties. As it is a high carbon steel, it is having very high strength and hardness, um, and their wear resistance will be very high. Okay, they have extremely high toughness, then very good wear resistance, and they are non-magnetic in nature, and they have very good impact strength, then abrasion resistance is very good, then the high tensile strength. Okay, as it is a high carbon steel, you can say that strength, hardness will be very good. The wear resistance, abrasion resistance will be very good. Okay, or very high resistance they will provide for wear and abrasion. Then applications. These steels are used for manufacturing of um, frogs and switches in railroad tracks. Okay, railroads are there, or railway tracks are there, and that tracks has some frogs and switches. Okay, I will show you that diagrams. You will get confused how to what is the frog and switch in a railroad track. Okay, and then jaw plates for stone crusher or dredge buckets and power shovel teeth. These are manufactured with the help of this Hadfield steel or manganese steels, or it is also known as mangalloy. Then this mangalloy is used in the mining industries. Okay, in cement mixers, then rock crushers, railway switches. Already I have mentioned it, switches and crossings, and crawler threads of for tractors. Okay, where there is high impact and abrasive environment, there these Hadfield steels are used. Okay, and it is also used in the high impact environment like inside a shot pinning machine. Then these are used as a cryogenic steel due to their high strength at low temperatures. Now I will show you the pictures, okay, so that you can remember it easily. Okay, so this is the railway track, and frogs and switches of a railroad track or a railway track, you can say. This is the frog, this structure. Okay, where in that railway track you are getting this diversion. Okay, this type of v-shaped diversion, two routes. Okay, this is the joining here, and after that it is breaking in these roots here. This is termed as frog. Okay, this is termed as frog, and when you are changing this track here, okay, this is the switch. Okay, this is switch rail point, and this is frog. Okay, are you understanding this? This is the frog and this is the switch. So these are frogs and switches, and these are manufactured with this uh, Hadfield steel. Then these dredge buckets. Okay, dredge buckets, your excavator, you can say your JCBs or your poke lanes, they are having these buckets, dredge buckets. These are manufactured with the help of Hadfield steel. Okay, Hadfield steel or manganese steel or mangalloys. Then that bucket, these kinds of buckets are having some power shovel teeth. Okay, these teeth are there, which requires hardness also. hardness and strength. These teeth, these are power shovel teeth. Then crawler treads for vehicles. Okay, this is crawler tread. Okay, if you have seen the poke lane or that, it is having this crawler tread. This is termed as crawler treads. Okay, these are dredge buckets. These are power shovel teeth, and this is crawler tread. Okay, like treadmill you have seen. For this vehicle, this is the tread, crawler tread. With help of this, it can move from one place to the other place for movement purpose of this heavy vehicles. Okay, this is made up of this mangalloys, and then frogs and switches. So these are applications of this Hadfield steel. Then we will move towards the next type, that is Invar steel. Okay, this is the third type. These Invar steels are also termed as low expansion steels. Okay, first is related to their composition. These steels, Invar steels, contains up to 0.2% carbon. Okay, this is the exact composition of this Invar steel. 0.2% carbon, 36% nickel. Okay, 0.5% manganese, and balance is nothing but remaining amount will be of iron. Okay, remaining amount will be of iron. From 100, just you have to minus this percentage, 0.2% carbon, 36% nickel, and 0.5% manganese, and remaining quantity will be for iron, and it is indicated by what? Balance. Okay, now this Invar steel, some specific names are there, like Ilinvar. Okay, Ilinvar steel, it contains 36% nickel and some amount of chromium, that is 12% chromium is added, and small amount of tungsten is added. Okay, here different examples I have added. Ilinvar, then nickel span carbon steel. Just try to remember this composition, first composition. Okay, this is important. For Invar steel, 0.2% carbon, 36% nickel, 0.5% manganese, and remaining amount of iron will be there, iron. And Ilinvar, if separately they have asked this, you have to write this composition. What is the difference between Invar and Ilinvar? Is nickel composition is same, just what is the extra? They are here 12% 12% chrome. Okay, 12% chromium and small amount of tungsten will be there. Then nickel span carbon steels, 42% nickel, 5.5% chromium, and 2.5% titanium will be there. Now related to the properties, as carbon percentage is less, it comes in low carbon steel category. It will be soft, malleable, and ductile in nature, and the specific properties, it is non-magnetic in nature. Okay, then due to the presence of this here you can say these nickels or chromiums, which properties will get changed? They will provide very high corrosion resistance and oxidation resistance. Okay, oxidation resistance is improved due to presence of the chromium. They will form respective oxides. Okay, and then they have very good impact resistance. Okay, at low temperatures, due to a low ductile brittle transition temperature, and almost zero coefficient of expansion in the temperature range from room temperature to 230°C. Okay, zero coefficient of expansion. So there will not be any change in their dimension or shape and size due to the rise in temperatures up to 230°C. And then related to the applications, we have discussed composition and properties. Now we will discuss the applications. These steels are used for manufacturing of surveyors, tapes, gauges, watch parts, then micrometers, Okay, I will show you the pictures of this. And these steels are used where high dimensional stability is required. Okay, as we have discussed its characteristic, that is, it almost has zero coefficient of expansion in temperature range from room temperature up to 230 degrees Celsius. Hence, it is used for manufacturing of precise instrument or precision instruments, then clocks, seismic creep gauges, television shadow mask frame, then walls in engines, okay, and large aerostructure molds. Okay, now I will show you the pictures. Okay, so these are different gauges. These are different gauges which are manufactured with the help of Invar steels. Then surveyor tape. Okay, this surveyor tape is there. It is made up of this Invar steel only. And this is television shadow mask frame. Okay, television shadow mask frame. In older days, these types of TVs or televisions are available. Okay, then their shadow mask frame, it is made up of this Invar steel. This is surveyor tape, different types of gauges which we are using in the measurement. Okay, I think this you have seen in the measurement lab, or you will see that in this semester or next semester in measurement subject. Okay, next semester there will be this subject. This is the then in micrometers thing you have conducted. Okay, that practical will be next sem. And micrometer, different measuring instruments are there. As they are required a very high accuracy, these Invar steels are used. Why these Invar steels only used? Because they are having almost zero coefficient of expansion up to temperature range of from room temperature to 230 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that's why different gauges, then surveyor tapes, this shadow mask frame of television, and precise instruments are manufactured with the help of these Invar steels. Then next type we will take, this is the spring steel. Okay, spring steel. These are different kinds of spring steels and their different applications. One by one we will discuss. Along first we will discuss its composition. These spring steels. Right. Okay. Spring steels, these are medium carbon steels or high carbon steels with 0.2 to 2% manganese. Okay, then very small amount of sulfur and phosphorus, 0.05% sulfur and 0.04%. As per your requirement, you can add chromium, vanadium, nickel, or silicon. Okay, it is medium carbon or high carbon steel with manganese, sulfur, and phosphorus, where manganese percentage will be significant, that is from 0.2% to 2%. Sulfur, maximum sulfur quantity will be 0.05%, and maximum phosphorus quantity will be 0.04%. And if you want to change some properties, you can add some additional alloying elements like chromium, vanadium, nickel, silicon, depending on the change in the properties required. Okay, why this spring steel name is given to this category? Because of their wide range of applications. They are used in the manufacturing of springs, and these springs are used in automotive and industrial suspension application. Okay, widely these are used for manufacturing of the steels, and the that manufactured different kinds of steels are used in the automotive field or in the other industrial applications. for providing the desired suspension. That's why this name is given as a spring steel. Okay. Now, what are their characteristics? Whichever characteristics are there of this spring, that characteristics you can write here. Okay. These spring steels are known to be very resilient and pliable with high yield strength. Okay, yield strength will be very high. Then they will provide you the highest the elasticity value. Then very good fatigue resistance will be there. Okay. Now you can perform some heat treatments if you want to change some properties. Suppose you want to increase its hardness, then you can go for its heat treatment also. So after deciding their properties, okay, very good yield strength, high elasticity, very good fatigue resistance, and you can perform different heat treatments. Now we will move towards the application part. Okay, so these are number of applications I have added here. I will show you all the pictures of these applications. First, I will go through this. I will show you the pictures also. Now, these spring steels, whichever musical instruments, if you have seen that piano, some music wire is there on that piano wire or musical wires, whichever musical instruments are there, wire is there made up of one steel. That steel is nothing but your spring steel. Then different kinds of spring clamps are there, and different antennas. Then spring, different types of springs like leaf springs. Then vehicle coil springs are there. Yes, tines are there. Okay, I will show you these diagrams. Okay, these are yes tines. Okay, these are piano strings. Strings are there in your musical instruments. These strings are made up of spring steels only, and these are springs. Okay, these are spring clamps. Okay, spring clamps. I think I have one with me also. Okay, this is the spring clamp. Okay, this is the spring clamp. Okay, whenever we are fixing the pipes or wires, there we are attaching it. Okay, where we are joining the pipes. Okay, this is the clamp for tightening the pipe. Okay, is it clearly visible? I think it will be visible for you. Okay, this is the spring clamp. Okay, this is spring clamp, and then these are yes tines are there. These are yes shaped tines are there in your various agricultural equipments. These tines are used. And then these are lock picks. Lock picks are there. Okay, these are made up of this spring steel only. Okay, manufacturing. Okay, these spring steels are most popular material used for in the making or fabrication of lock picks due to its pliability and resilience. Then I will show you some other applications instead of reading it. And you can see the pictures. Okay, if you have seen these Nepalese kukri is there. Okay, kukri. That kukri is made up of this spring steel kukri. Now you can see one new movie of some that actor Akshay Kumar is coming. That kukri or kokri is holding in his hand. Okay, it will be very easy to remember for you that kukri which he is using. I forgot the film name, but you can easily remember that. And kukri is there. Nepalese kukri. It is made up of spring steel. Okay, here I have highlighted the picture. This is the kukri. Nepalese kukri. Then different kinds of suspension springs. Here, these suspension springs are manufactured with the help of spring steels. Then binder clips. Okay, here we are having steels for binding some papers. These are binder clips. These are also manufactured with the help of spring steels only. Then landing gears of aircraft. These are okay. In this aircraft, there will be landing gears. Okay, landing gears will be there, and these will be manufactured with the help of spring steels. Then these are shims. Okay, these shims are used in the measurement purpose. Okay, small sized 2 mm thickness, 0.05 mm, 0.01, 0.1, 0.2. Very small thickness will be provided with this shape to measure the thickness or some gaps or doing some measurement, precise measurement. These are termed as shims. Okay, and these shims are manufactured from these spring steels only. Okay, Nepalese kukri, then the landing gear of aircraft, then suspension spring, binder clips, these different kinds of shims. Then these are different kinds of springs. That's why they are largely used for manufacturing of different kinds of the springs. And these springs you can use for different applications in automobile industry or in different industries. We are using it. And what is the purpose? To provide the suspension. Okay. Now these are helical compression spring. Okay, helical compression spring. This is helical compression spring. This is helical extension spring. Helical extension spring. If you have seen the stand of our vehicle, okay, we are having stand to for placing our vehicles. This is some helical extension spring is used. Okay, then this is the conical spring. This is helical compression spring. This is also used in the vehicle. Then this laminated or leaf spring is there. Laminated or leaf spring. In railways, these leaf springs are used. And this is the torsion spring. Torsion spring, and this is the disc spring. Okay. So these are different kinds of the springs used. Okay, and you can use it in the different industries. So these are different applications of the springs. Springs along with, and all these are manufactured with the help of spring steels. Okay, these are different applications of spring steels. Okay, piano strings, spring clamps, different kinds of springs. It may be different spring. It may be all spring types I have highlighted in the last slide. So yes, tines are there, lock picks are there, kukri, suspension spring, binder clips, shims used for measurement, landing gear of aircraft, and these types of springs. These are manufactured with the help of spring steels. Okay. So after this, the next type is the silicon steel. Okay. Okay, I think I will continue this in the next session. Okay, now in this today's session, we have completed 4 types. Okay, 4 types of the steels. Okay, I will just summarize the lecture and we will stop here. Okay, in this today's session, we have completed HSLA steel, that is high strength low alloy steel, along with its composition, properties, and applications. Its general properties: it is very soft, malleable, and ductile in nature, and provides very good strength and hardness also. And it is used for manufacturing of oil gas transmission pipelines and storage tanks. Then it is used for manufacturing of weathering steel, which is used for manufacturing of different bridges. And it does not require any external painting or coating to protect the bridge from the environmental conditions. Then these are cryogenic tanks. These are manufactured with the help of HSLA steel only. Okay, and these are used or liquid oxygen. Then Hadfield steel is high carbon steel with 0.8 to 1.25% carbon and 11 to 15% manganese, with some small amount of other alloying elements. It is having very high strength, wear resistance, and abrasion resistance. And it is also known as manganese steel or a mangalloy, and it is used for manufacturing of these different frogs and switches of railroad track. Okay, these are frogs, these are switches, then dredge buckets, power shovel teats, then crawler trade for different vehicles like your poke lane, you can say. Then the Invar steel, it is also known as low expansion steel. Why it is termed as low expansion steel? Because it has almost zero coefficient of expansion. There will not be any change in its dimension due to change in the temperature. Okay, that's why it is termed as low expansion steel. Okay, so its composition is 0.2 up to 0.2% carbon, 36% nickel, small amount of manganese. In Ilinware, some 12% chromium is extra added with small amount of tungsten. And it's soft, malleable, ductile, but due to addition of this chromium and other alloying elements, it will provide you very good corrosion and oxidation resistance, along with very good impact resistance also. And it most important property of Invar steel is zero coefficient of uh, expansion within the temperature range from room temperature to 230 degrees Celsius. Hence, it is used for manufacturing of high dimension. It is used in the manufacturing of some precision instruments. Okay, like clocks, and then seismic grip gauges or different walls. Okay, or it is used in manufacturing of surveyor tape, different gauges used in the measurement, or shadow mask used for television. Then spring steels, generally these are medium or high carbon steels with 0.2 to 2% manganese and very small amount of sulfur, phosphorus. And as per need, some alloying elements like chromium, vanadium, nickel, silicon are added. Due to their wide applications in the manufacturing of springs and which are used in different industries, these steels are termed as spring steels. Okay, very high elasticity, very high hardness. Okay, and a high yield strength. These are used for manufacturing of these piano strings, spring clamps, then yes, tines, lock picks, then Nepalese kukri, landing gears for your aircraft, then suspension spring, binder clips, shims used in the measurement. Okay. And then different kinds of the springs. Okay. In this way, we have completed today the 4 types of the alloy steels. HSLA steel, that is high strength low alloy steel. Then Hadfield steel in that manganese steel or mangalloy. Then Invar steel or low expansion steel and spring steel, along with their composition, properties, and applications. We have completed it today. In next lecture, we will see the remaining alloy steels. Okay, in that we will try to cover the tool steels, then stainless steels. Okay, so if you are having any query for today's session, let me know. If all points are clear, please put your attendance in the chat box and you can leave the session. If you are having any query, you can put that query in the chat box. If any doubt or query is there, let me know. Okay, let me know if any query or doubt is there. Please put that in the chat box. Otherwise, we can enter your roll number for attendance purpose, and you can leave the session. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for attending this today's session. Okay, this issue related to your Python training timing and lecture timing. I will discuss this issue with HOD sir, and I will try to resolve this issue. Okay. Right now, if you have missed any session, recording will be available in your study material sheet. You can go through that sheet, and if if you are facing any problem, let me know. Okay, and I will discuss this issue with HOD sir also. No problem. Okay, if any other doubt is there. Okay, if no doubt is there, I will close this session. Thank you. Thank you for attending this session.